Hi.
Hey.
How was to play Iron Man, your own idol? How was it for you?
It was a blast. I do remember seeing these comics growing up and going, wow. I wasn't sure if it was a robot or if it was the guy in the suit. But I've just been saying all day, it's so funny looking at that title floating in black over there and seeing it in Spanish and going, wow, this movie's opening all over the world like any minute. And it was so fun to make.
And how was to dress the outfit, the Iron Man's outfit?
That was tough. I really love stuntmen.
Considering that Iron Man has several fans all over the world, how was the responsibility to play to not disappointing them?
Well, that's half the game nowadays, you know. Like you hear that another movie's being made, and then they post the casting. And you know, the nerds and the comic book fans or fans in general, they just go online and they either support it or they attack it. So you can feel like your movie's already a bomb before you've even shot one day on it, with the way things are, you know, on the internet nowadays. So it was kind of nerve-wracking, and we're very, very happy that from the minute Jon cast me, there was some strong support for that, and then I think we went and made a pretty good movie too. So.
Yes, indeed. Who came up with the idea, and how was it to make a kind of bon vivant, a great sense of humor Tony Stark?
Well, it was always there in the comics too. I was a little concerned with, as the Iron Man comics, the genesis of them over the years, it seemed like it got more and more intense, and back in the beginning he was kind of wisecracking and partying and, you know, chasing women, and so it was even more surprising when he had this big change. So it was, I mean, Jon and I really wanted it to have a sense of humor.
What's going on here?
Let's face it, this is not the worst thing you've caught me doing.
And how was the meeting with Stan Lee, the creator?
Fantastic. A, he really supported Jon and I, and B, he said that he created the character to stir up some crap back in the time when people were very anti-government, very distrusting of people over 30, very, not all that different than today. He said he wanted to see if he could create a character that was right in the middle of that whole military-industrial complex, but make him so fallible and give him such an injury, so to speak, that he could still be sympathetic.
Is it better to be feared or respected? And I say, is it too much to ask for both? I humbly present the Jericho.
And why did you get so involved with the pre-production of this movie?
Because I knew one day I was going to be sitting here with you and everybody and having to talk about it, and I felt like it was really important for me to do everything I could to help it be a movie that had quality.
How was the motion capture process?
I did some of that, you know. We shot a lot of it practically, and then a lot of it was just taken over by the effects houses. Personally, I prefer wearing dots to wearing whole parts of a suit. The first day that I put on the suit and walked around, I was all into it, and then by the time I had to take 4 Advil if I saw the suit hanging up, I had to take 4 Advil.
Good luck keeping up. Good luck keeping up. You don't want one of these. Works every time.
Could you call the Brazilian audience to watch the Iron Man now?
Absolutely.
Hello, Brazil, something
Yeah.
like that?
Brazil, hi. I'm Robert Downey Jr. I'm inviting you to please come watch Iron Man in a theater near you.
Thanks a lot indeed.
Thank you.
Iron Man marker.
Hi.
Hi.
Considering that Iron Man has several fans all over the world, how was the responsibility in not disappointing them?
Well, I had 2 different
two different jobs here. One was to not disappoint the hardcore fans. But although Iron Man's been around for 40 years and one of Marvel's original heroes, there are a lot of people who've never heard of him. So I wanted to satisfy, especially since it's Marvel's first movie as a studio, I wanted to make sure that we honored what the fans' expectations might be. But on the other hand, a far greater challenge was to educate the rest of the world who hadn't heard of Iron Man, which is the vast majority, of who this guy is and why they would want to see him in a movie. And in that respect, the fans were very helpful, because through going to things like Comic-Con and having a lot of grassroots support on the internet, it sort of bubbled up and hit the mainstream press, and now I think more people know who Iron Man is than had a year or two ago 2 years ago when I first came on board this project.
This Tony Stark is a kind of bon vivant with a great sense of humor. Have you changed ideas with Stan Lee to the conception of Iron Man on screen?
The way Stan Lee conceived of the character, remember, it was at the time he was a weapons manufacturer, and it was right at the beginning of Vietnam. So it was just as interesting of a choice as to have him in Afghanistan now, with the political tenor as it is now in the United States and around the world. There was the same challenge of depicting a character who was a bon vivant, but also a guy who represented maybe a more distasteful aspect of an occupation in this day and age. And so I tried to preserve what Stan Lee presented, and fortunately, in having Robert Downey Jr. cast in the role, he brought a certain charm and innocence to a character that might otherwise be unlikable.
They say the best weapon is one you never have to fire. I prefer the weapon you only need to fire once. That's how Dad did it. That's how America does it. And it's worked out pretty well so far.
And you not only direct the movie, but you play the driver and bodyguard of Tony Stark.
Yes.
How came up the idea of to act in the movie we're directing?
I know in the comic books that my character ends up with Pepper Potts, which is Gwyneth Paltrow. So I was hoping that by doing a couple scenes in this movie, maybe I'll get a love scene if we do a sequel. But otherwise, I just wanted to be in the movie just for the fun of it. But as you could see, I don't do a heck of a lot. I had a lot on my mind as a director, so I didn't really say much. Maybe next time I'll give myself a little bit more to do.
By the way, how was to act in the comedy series Monk?
I was an actor in it. I didn't direct, and I got to work with Tony Shalhoub, who's great. It was fun. They work very fast. Television's like this, A movie like Iron Man takes 2 years. That thing you shoot in a couple days.
Hello again, Mr. Monk. Is it true that you've only been to the dentist once before?
Yeah.
I gather it wasn't a good experience. Oh, this will be much worse.
And what's the new technology that of the Iron Man's flight?
Well, we work with ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, George Lucas's company, and they have done tremendous work recently with Pirates of the Caribbean, and they were working on Transformers right before this one. So all of the idea of the suit moving and opening and flying and changing shape and weapons coming out of it, we were able to borrow from all the research that they had done from the Transformer film. So it opened up a whole new set of possibilities in storytelling. You couldn't tell the story of Iron Man, 10 years ago. I mean, if you think about it, they had a movie like The Rocketeer then, where you're still using stop-motion animation and miniatures. But here, thanks to CGI and how realistic the lighting and the CGI looks when you're dealing with hard surfaces like a metal suit, it's very convincing. And I've always been very skeptical about CGI, but those people up at ILM were great. And then Stan Winston, who's a legend in the, for all the creatures he's created and costumes, was able to build suits that tied into it so that a lot of it, like the first suit that he wears, I'd say 90% of that was a real suit with the guy moving around.
Yeah, I can fly.
Okay, thanks very much. It was really a great movie.
Great, thank you very much for your support.